I'm Laura Bonnell, and this is the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast coming to you from Detroit. Please subscribe and even rate and comment on our podcasts when it moves you. I learn something new with every podcast, and I'm always inspired by the people that are showcased here. We don't give medical advice. You need to connect with your doctor for that. I hope that this Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast educates you and sparks some volunteering or advocacy. The CF community needs people like you. Thanks to our sponsor, Viatris, for their support. Every year, the Bonnell Foundation awards scholarships to students living with cystic fibrosis who are pursuing their dreams through college, trade school, or community college. And we know that managing CF comes with significant medical expenses, making higher education even more challenging for so many families. And that's why we are so proud to provide scholarships that help students move forward with their educational goals. And each year, our top scholarships receive about $2,500. One year, it was $3,500 each recipient received. And this supports their journey. And as everyone knows, it's very helpful. And we appreciate their heartfelt gratitude. And it's why that this program is so important. You are in for such a treat. This group that I have on this podcast is incredible. So just to set this up, we had 3 on, and we had one person that had to do it later, so we had to edit Ben in. So we're so grateful for John, who is doing all the producing and editing of the video podcast. So we're going to introduce you to 4 wonderful students who got our scholarships. There were 13 total and 60 that applied. Serena Cecilia is 20 years old. She's from Westerville, Ohio. She's attending Bowling Green University. Jayla Jacobs is 18 years old. She was diagnosed with CF at age 5, and she's a passionate advocate for the CF community, speaking at events including the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation's Guys and Dolls Auction Gala, and she helped raise $2.2 million for CF research. Yay, bravo. This fall, she'll attend North Carolina State University, and she enjoys outdoor activities, drawing, and no surprise from what she told us about herself, she'll be majoring in English. Isabella Benezinski is 18 years old, and she'll be attending Drexel University in Philadelphia in the fall. Ben Ferguson is from Columbus, Indiana, and attends Taylor University. But as you'll hear from all of them, regardless of their majors, they should be public speakers. So welcome, everybody. It's so exciting to let people know some of the people that won the Bonnell Foundation scholarship. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. And so for anyone who doesn't remember, and I know that you don't know all of my history, so I briefly just wanted to tell you, since we're talking about scholarships, I have 2 daughters with cystic fibrosis. Molly is now 31, but she went to college at Parsons Fashion Design School in New York. And then she got her master's at Central St. Martin in the United Kingdom in London. And she's still living there. So she did very well with handling her cystic fibrosis, and I want to hear from all of you. And then Emily, who turns 29 this month, went to Michigan State University, and she is living in Chicago, Illinois, and she's doing great too. She was the one who got sick more than both girls, and so she wanted to be close to her CF clinic. Her CF clinic did happen to be the rivalry of Michigan State University, which was the University of Michigan. So when she got sick and hospitalized, she'd wear her green college stuff, and University of Michigan is maize and blue. So everybody always teased her, but she loved it. All the doctors were like, "Oh my gosh, Emily, come on." And she's like, "Hey, go green." So she had fun with it. Both my daughters decided not to get a private room in college. And again, I want to talk to you about that. But thank you so much. Thanks to the Cystic Fibrosis mom who funds our college scholarships, and she chooses to remain anonymous, but we're so grateful that she funds it so we can help you with $2,500 to each of you. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
And I guess my first question is, and we'll just go in a little square here, but how did you first hear about the scholarships? And Serena, we'll start with you, then Jayla and Isabella.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was like one random night. I was sitting at school and I was like crunching numbers for my like tuition bill, and the numbers were pretty high. So I just did a really lengthy, I think I spent all night researching all possible like scholarships having to do with having cystic fibrosis. And this foundation came up. So I was like, I'll apply. It really was just like stroke of luck. I typed in like cystic fibrosis scholarships into my like internet browser, and that's what I got. Then I looked at it and I saw like people that I had recognized who I know have CF had gotten it in the past. So I was like, this is so cool. So I applied.
That is amazing. And I just want to introduce you so everyone knows who you are as we go, even though I talked about you in the introduction. Serena, you are 20, you're going to Bowling Green, your cousin has CF, and your older brother does not. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Jayla, you're 18. You're going to be going to North Carolina State University in the fall, and you have two brothers with cystic fibrosis?
Yes, that's all right.
All right. And so please tell me, Jayla, how you heard about the scholarship program.
All right, so my aunt is actually sort of like a scholarship seeker, and she like does that for like she like actually people pay her to help
Wow.
them get scholarships, and she decided to help me out. And she said, "Hey, since you have cystic fibrosis, here's a scholarship that is for people specifically with cystic fibrosis." So that's how I learned and I applied.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And what a luxury. And I bet she's sort of your favorite aunt now. I mean, that's,
Yeah, she helped me get 25. Like that's amazing.
yeah, I'm so glad. And then Isabella, you're going to Drexel, you're 18 years old, and your younger brother does not have CF.
No, he does not. He escaped it. So I guess my answer to the question would be I spoke with my care team about some scholarships, and they had a list that they gave me, and it happened to be on the list. So I applied. I don't. It's kind of it's simple for me. They had a list of about 20 scholarships for me that I applied to. So
That's fantastic. And it's really important for the foundation and the board members to hear how you found out, so we know like we're targeting the right place and we're getting to people, because of course we want people to know. And there are other great ones out there too for cystic fibrosis, and we have a resource page that lists them as well for anybody who's looking currently. We're so glad to have you, Ben Ferguson. And the way we did this podcast is we're editing you in because we had a little bit of a time difference that we had to do the podcast. But I really am so honored and happy to include you in this podcast because you're another person who is benefiting from a Bonnell Foundation scholarship. And we're really excited about it. And I'm excited too to tell everyone that you're going to Taylor University. That's you live in Columbus, Indiana. And how did you find out about the scholarship? Because that's always interesting to hear. And how do you think the process was in applying?
I was doing some research because I knew that there was different CF scholarships out there, and my mom was out. My mom was doing the same to try and help me, and she actually came across your guys' scholarship. And kind of sent it to me like, "Hey, take a look at this one. Like, this looks like a really cool one." So I kind of read about it, kind of see what it was about, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually a really cool one." So I decided to apply for it. And application wise, like I probably applied for 6 different CF scholarships, see if I could get some, but they are really hard to get. But going through your guys is, I loved how simple and like you guys got the right information, but it wasn't over the top. On some of these CF scholarships, they have you write like a ton of papers answering different questions. And while that can be good, I think sometimes it's just maybe a little over the top. So I loved how you guys asked some simple questions. I gave you kind of what you needed, and that was like that was it. So I love the process of going through you guys. It was simple, but you got the right amount of information for sure.
Perfect. I love that moms are finding this. I mean,
Yes.
yay to your mom. That's so cool. So did you decide to write or did you do a video?
I decided to write.
Tell us kind of why you decided on that.
I think I just process better when I have time to process my thoughts and then write it down on paper, and then I can look over what I say and refix it. So I don't know. That's just the process I went with. I'm sure it would have been fine if I spoke, but I just wanted to choose writing for some reason.
And then I want the truth. I want to know, how was it to apply and if there are any improvements that you think we should make. And again, we'll start with Serena, then go to Jayla and Isabella.
Honestly, I thought that it was really simple and straightforward. The instructions were laid out pretty clearly on the website. I think the most difficult part that I had was I chose to film a video instead of write a little thing. And I probably shot that video maybe like 20 times. I just kept laughing at myself halfway through, and then I'd get really mad and I'd have to take a break and then come back to it. I don't know. I took it so many times, but that is user error, not a foundation issue. But I thought it was really easy and straightforward.
And I'm curious too, why you chose video over writing. I mean, I know why I would, but I'm just curious.
Honestly, I actually like writing. I think I like my writing voice. I don't know, it's weird. I just always have. But I just think when you take a video, I am able to capture my personality better. You can see, like, I think I filmed the video in my dorm room. So you kind of got to look into my life, like the decor on my walls, and things like that. So I just thought it humanized me a little bit more, that it just seemed like the better option to me.
Thank you. And Jayla, what are your thoughts?
Like she said, I'd say it was pretty straightforward, and the instructions were really clear. I didn't really have much like issue with it, but I did do the essay version. Mainly because I am going into college to be like an English creative writing major, so I kind of felt like it was a bit fitting for me to just write it because I want to be able to like convey my emotions and my thought process in my writing. So it's sort of just like always my go-to for like assignments in school or anything. If they say you have these two options, I'm like, I want to write. So that's why I chose that option.
Wonderful. And I'm so glad we have two choices. So the two different people could pick whatever made them comfortable. And Isabella, what about you? As far as applying, did you find that it was easy? And in which way did you apply? And or do you have any suggestions?
That's what I was trying to find because I didn't remember which way I applied, but I don't remember there being any issues. I think it was very easy compared it to like other scholarships that I've applied to. It was not very lengthy, and I didn't really have any issues. I think I do remember that I did the video and the upload like was not working, and I had to walk away for a second.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been on my end as well. But yeah, I'm kind of recalling now. I really didn't have any issues with it at all. It was very easy to do.
I'm glad. And we know technical issues because this podcast started off with a huge technical issue. We had to jump from one platform to another. So it's always a challenge. If it's not a technical issue, it's Wi-Fi, it's something. So, but yeah, it can be very frustrating. I think from all of you, you picked the right thing. Obviously, you won, and everybody that voted decided that you had, something really important to say. And I think that you spoke and relayed how you felt using either the video or writing. And we really enjoyed watching them or reading them. Do you have any advice for future applicants?
My one advice I would say is, as I'm applying for different CF scholarships, I would say they are very hard to get. You may not have a ton of confidence in getting them, but I would say, like, don't be afraid to do the work. Like, write the paper, answer the questions, and apply for it, because if you win these, they can really be life-changing for you.
I guess mine would be, if you're doing the video, just stick with it. I'm glad that I did not give up and quit it after my 100th take of the video. I think that's my biggest thing. You'll get the take eventually, and it works. It'll work.
And I also should say we don't need perfection. I mean, we need grammar to be correct and things like that. But for anybody who's thinking about applying in the future, we want your heart, your emotion, your feelings. We don't want just, I have CF, it's hard, it's a financial burden. Like, we want to know how you are really feeling. So that's really important. And all three of you and Ben also, you all shared your heart. So we really appreciate it. But Jayla, what are your thoughts on advice for others?
I'd say my advice is to not really hold back in whichever like way you decide to apply, whether you're like doing the writing version or the video version. Like there might be some bits of your story that's a bit like more gritty, but I feel like that's what scholarship people are looking for, like the realness of it. So not holding back in your story and like not like censoring anything if something like happens. Like just make sure to put it all out there so that we really understand how life with cystic fibrosis is.
Great advice. Isabella?
I would say the biggest thing is just be yourself. I don't think that you have to change anything about who you are or who your story is in order to get the scholarship. I think if you're changing something about you, then maybe the scholarship isn't for you. I think that you should just be true to yourself and true to your story and about what actually is important to you when you apply. Just because if you're lying about it, then what's the point? But just be yourself. It's not worth changing your whole story.
Great advice. And then we'll change the direction of who talks first this time to make it fair for everyone. But Isabella, how has this $2,500 made a difference in your, paying for college?
So like Serena said, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's not cheap. But the scholarship, along with a couple others that I've kind of been blessed with, has incredibly changed my outlook, at least personally. So for my program, I'm 2 years full time and then I'm 4 years part time. So the 2 years full time are, incredibly difficult to pay for, but I'm incredibly blessed also with my parents. They're going to be helping me out. But it's just changed the way that we're looking at the money. And for the like ability to be able to like splurge a little bit here and do a little bit there just to be able to have to know that I'm going to be okay when I go to school. It has changed at least that for us. Like I knew I was going to figure it out. We were going to make it work, but this helps it make it work just a little bit better for us and my family.
Tell us, and I'll ask Jayla and Serena the same thing, but tell us what you're majoring in, if you know at this point, and how you're doing.
I'm currently going into the architecture program at Drexel. It's a pretty big co-op program specifically for that school, so it's very exciting. I went and toured it the other day, and I met all the professors and everything, and I'm very excited to start. So hopefully it'll be good.
Oh, that's wonderful. Very exciting. And then Serena, if you can talk about how the 2,500 is helping you and tell us what your major is.
Yeah, for sure. Our words can't describe what like scholarship money like can do for my academics. It's like covering books or the classes aren't cheap. When I was like looking through and you see the actual breakdown, I'm a inclusive early childhood education major, so that covers like a whole special needs class that like I wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. So it definitely makes a very, very large impact on what I'm able to do and how I'm able to pursue my career choice. But yeah, so that's my major at Bowling Green. I'm going into my junior year. So I'm over halfway done, which is pretty exciting. Next year I'll start student teaching, so I'm pretty excited about that for slowly making my way there. But yeah.
Wow. And time flies, does it not? College just
Yeah.
zooms by.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jayla, how about you?
It really means a lot to me, mainly because I've always been like, we've been in a state of financial insecurity in my family for a bit now. So I probably wouldn't be able to go to NC State without like some kind of help. So it just means a lot because this amount of money is just like it really like even like it puts a good dent in there so that I don't have to be like so stressed about this section of the payments or this section. I've already received some financial aid from the school, which I'm very happy about. But it just helps so much to not have to worry about that 2,500 anymore. Like that's done, and I can just worry about the remainder. So it just really helps.
That is wonderful. And by the way, our treasurer wrote the checks today, so they're in the mail to your universities, which is exciting. And Jayla, do you know what you're going to major in yet?
I'm going to be an English creative writing major.
Okay, I think you did mention that. Congrats. That's fantastic. And it is very exciting, your futures.
I'm so grateful that I got to receive the scholarship. But a lot of the college payments and the financial stress have fallen on me to try and pay. My parents have done a lot, but now entering my second year, they don't have all the funds to help support me. So I'm having to come up with X amount of dollars to help pay for college. And that means working more and stressing about finances, maybe instead of taking care of my own health. So this scholarship really allows me to kind of step back a little bit and kind of focus on myself while also helping pay for college.
I mean, they do have a lot of kids, right? They have a lot of kids. And cystic fibrosis is expensive. There are co-pays. There is just so much stuff that happens.
So much that goes into it, yes.
So that's wonderful that you're doing it and taking charge of all of this. I know that other people can relate to having to be in charge of it and handle it on their own. How are you handling CF in college? I think that the biggest question that we get is, what advice does another person with CF who's been through college, maybe even a year or two, have? I think, and I don't know how it was for you, you can tell us or not, but a lot of kids are like, will I be able to do my medications? Will I be able to keep the medications and all the stuff, nebulizers clean? Like how's it been for you?
Yeah, it's definitely been different because I would say the biggest difference I've seen is at home, I always have other people to remind me to take my stuff. Like all the pills I take with all the meals, I have my mom or my dad say like, Ben, did you take your enzymes? Did you take your Trikafta? And that's definitely been a transition while going to college because I don't have that support and that they are helping remind me. So some advice I would give is like stay organized. Because you have a new space, so you got to figure out where you're putting your medications and your different treatments. So say have that stuff organized and maybe even like create a plan, and then you can check off that plan after you do it to make sure that you really get it done. Because there was definitely times in college where I'm like, gosh, I can't remember if I actually took my enzymes. I can't ask my parents like, Mom, did you remember seeing me take them? And so there were a couple of those moments. But I think as I got deeper into my freshman year, I was more organized. I kind of created a list I could check off. And that really helped me kind of stay on top of my medications.
That is great advice for other kids. And then do you tell people about your CF, or does it only if it comes up or something?
I am definitely not afraid to say that I have CF and kind of share my experiences with it. So if people ask about it, I'm more than willing to share. Actually, a really cool experience is at Taylor. I was kind of in like this new kind of friend group. We were hanging out a little bit, just doing stuff outside. Wasn't a ton, but it was kind of new. And randomly, this girl has CF and brought it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have it too. And then we were like, so now you know we gotta be careful with like the distance stuff, but we were outside and we were careful with it. But then we were able to kind of like share our experiences. So it was kind of a crazy moment, like this person just in this friend group at Taylor has CF, and it was kind of a really cool moment though.
That is a really cool moment. And wow, how things have changed, right? Because my daughter, Molly, is 31 and Emily is 29. And there was so much more fear being around other CF kids, I guess. And I remember we were in a restaurant and somebody sitting directly behind Molly said, oh, wait, I forgot to take my enzymes. And I turned around and I'm like, take your enzymes. Do you have cystic fibrosis?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, we have cystic fibrosis too. And actually, it was a long time ago. We got up and left because we were worried about cross-contamination and we didn't want to be
for
inside
sure.
at a restaurant. So I just love, though, how things have changed and that you made that connection. That's really cool.
sure.
And that you shared it with us.
Yes.
Serena, now you can give advice to Isabella and Jayla and everyone else listening.
I think one of the hardest things is balancing your CF care with the social and academic aspects of college. I think that just the biggest thing is you can't like skimp on it, no matter how much you might want to. If you're with friends or doing something like late at night, it's just like you have to take care of yourself first. Because the second your health goes down, then you can't do anything. So it's really important to stay on top of it. That will always be my biggest advice is don't skip things. Be strict with yourself. It is so much better in the long run.
My girls were very open about it until they went to college. Then when they went to college, they kind of were like, yeah, they didn't want to tell everyone. Everybody they knew, kindergarten through their senior year of high school, knew about it. And then college was different for them. How are you dealing with it going, through your college years?
I've never really been super open about like having CF. It's not something that I go around to every single person that I meet and immediately be like, we're doing this. I just never have. I think it comes out when the time is right and when the conversation calls for it. For example, like I'm in a sorority. I'm part of Greek life at BG, and I don't think half the girls in my sorority know that I have CF. If the situation calls for it, I 100% will bring it up and I will offer my perspective on things. But I don't know. I like living, I hate to use the word like normal life because this is my normal, but I just like going about what I do. And if somebody asks, I'll 100% tell them and I'll tell them everything I've ever done. And I love that. And I love having conversations about it. It's just not the first thing that I bring up most of the time.
And it's fair. I mean, I think whatever works for each person is what you should do. Um, JLo, do you have thoughts? Have you been thinking about how you're going to handle your CF? Do you have a plan? And do you plan to be open or kind of keep it to yourself?
Um, I'd probably just do what I usually do, which is I just like if basically what Serena said, if it comes up, I'll just bring it up. If I'm like coughing a lot and people ask me why, I'll be like, oh, I have cystic fibrosis. I'm not really hiding it most of the time. Like I'm just if it comes up, I'll probably bring it up.
And Isabella, what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, about the same thing. I already spoke to the school. They're aware. Like, it's obviously that's the issue, right? The exposure with other people. So they're already made aware of that. And for me with sports, I do have to be a little bit more careful. I'm doing a club sport at Drexel. But other than that, if it comes up, it comes up. It's not the end of the world. I feel like, again, the word normal is weird, but it's also like I appear normal, right? Like I appear with nothing is wrong, so therefore nothing is wrong. Like unless people are like, "Hey, like what's this?" You're like, "Oh, I have CF." Other than that, it's never really bothered me. If people ask, sure. But other than that, it's just part of my life.
And what club sport are you doing?
I wrestle, so it's a little bit interesting with the whole CF thing. I don't think a lot of other people with CF wrestle. Like I'm sure that there's a few, but it's
My
definitely
brother
good
did
to.
wrestling.
Huh?
My brother, he has cystic
Oh,
fibrosis. He did
did
wrestling.
they? That's awesome. Yeah, it's just interesting because you're like very close with the person, so you have to make sure at least that they don't have CF. But other than that, not really worried about it.
That is fantastic, and congrats on that. It sounds really exciting. And also, I just wanted to mention for people who don't know, you can get a private room if you have a rare disease, a chronic illness. If you choose, like I said, my daughters didn't want that; they wanted to be in the normal flow of a dorm room and all of that. And then the other thing is, and it escapes my mind right now what the legal name is, but if because of your CF you're out or hospitalized for a week, all your professors have to give you the same amount of time to catch up on all your work and exams. So that's really good. You do have to fill something out at college so that it's on record, but Emily her Spanish teacher was the only professor for both girls who like didn't believe her and was challenging her on making up her work, which as a mom, I was like, do I need to fight them? I mean, I'm kidding, but I was like, come on, let me go.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them. But she was like, no, I've got it handled. So, it worked out. But that is something that you legally have a right to do. Serena, have you been hospitalized at all while at college?
I have not. Yeah, I've gotten sick just working with kids and stuff, but I have not been hospitalized. I haven't been I don't think I've had an overnight stay in the hospital since I was in like the 7th grade. It's
Fantastic.
been a while.
It's good to hear. And JLo, we'll start with you and then go to Isabella and Serena. But if you want to tell us a little bit about your CF journey, how you were diagnosed and how you're doing, that would be great if you want to share it.
So in my family, I was the first one diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. As you know, I have 2 brothers who have cystic fibrosis as well, but I got diagnosed at, I think, 5 or 7 years old. I was diagnosed a bit late, but it was basically like, I was in and out of the hospital a lot. They didn't know what I had. As you know, cystic fibrosis is a Caucasian male disease primarily, so they were sort of like hesitant to diagnose me with that. So they were saying I had like some other stuff. They didn't really know like exactly what I had, but eventually a doctor looked at me. He was like, "Oh, that's cystic fibrosis." So after that, I got the treatments that I needed, the care. I was in the hospital probably like once a year until I was about like 13, and then it started mellowing out. And with my new medication, like I take Sindecco personally, so that really helped, and I stopped having to go to the hospital. After that, it sort of like evened out. I've been much healthier. And then my brothers got diagnosed a few years after that, and they started getting the help that they needed. So yeah, I'd say that's about it.
That is good. And I just want to also touch on what you mentioned. People of color are underdiagnosed for cystic fibrosis. It's actually not a Caucasian disease. It's just that, no surprise, people of color are underdiagnosed. So we're trying to raise awareness about that. The other issue is that people of color aren't included enough in clinical trials, and we need a diverse population in clinical trials so that it benefits everybody, so that CF modulators work for everybody. So just want everybody to be aware of that. And then Isabella, tell us a little bit about how you were diagnosed, your CF journey, and how you're doing.
Yeah, I was diagnosed almost immediately. Um, Little baby me didn't have enough salt. They're like, that's not great. So they kind of diagnosed me right away. And then from there, I know that I had like a little bit of failure to thrive, and I was kind of sick a lot as a kid, but I will say that a lot of my journey is rooted in sports for me. I was in sports a lot. It helped with my lungs a lot. It helped me grow muscle, put on mass. And then I ended up being in a modulator study in Colorado, back when I lived in Wyoming. So I was in a modulator study for 7 years, I think, 7, maybe 6. And once I got on the modulator, it actually changed my life. I was still in sports, which still helped me a lot, but the modulator itself, I was actually able to put on like a lot of muscle, a lot of mass. I was breathing on my own. Like, I don't know. So I was in the study, and then I kind of like changed my entire life. Strike after now, but I would say that my journey is not very difficult for me. I know that the first couple years of my life were very difficult, but my mom kind of never made me feel that way, never exposed me to any of like the harsher realities of having CF. We always did the CF walks. She was a great like sponsor. She had so many people. We had a great community for me that I never noticed that anything was ever different with me until I got to the study. And then I was like, oh, I actually feel very, very, very healthy for the first time in my life. I am blessed though. I've never been hospitalized. I've never had an overnight stay. It's been, kind of a blessing. And when I tell people that, they're like, wow. But I owe a lot of that to my mom, and I owe a lot of that to my sports. But yeah, so my journey is very simple. And today I just stay overly involved with sports. I don't do a lot of my treatments. I'm kind of just on Trikafta and Zenpep right now with my care team. That's kind of all I do. which is kind of incredible. When I get sick, obviously, I do my other treatments, but yeah, that's kind of my story.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And Serena?
I think I was diagnosed at like 3 days old. So at birth, I was born with an intestinal blockage. Um, and I had to have a couple surgeries to kind of correct that. And that's when they were like, oh, hey, you have CF. So they tested me and stuff. And then, of course, they tested my older brother. Once they discovered that I had it, they discovered he did not. It's looking like he's the favorite child, but whatever, that's fine. Yeah, so they immediately started treatments for me. I was also very actively involved in sports growing up. I did a lot of soccer, and then I did synchronized swimming to help with my lungs. You would think that it didn't work out. Like it was very interesting how much it really helped like strengthen my lungs. But yeah, so I did that, and then I started playing volleyball. When I was in the 7th grade, I was asked to be part of the clinical trial for Trikafta. I was actually the 3rd person in the United States to take the medication, um, and it was really just up from there. I was in that clinical trial for 8 years, and then last summer, I switched over to the new version Electric, um, and still doing very well on it. I really like this one more than Trikafta. I don't know. I think it's like the lesser of the two evils, but they've both done fantastic for me, physically. Once I started Trikafta, it was just a completely like new normal for me. Everything shifted, and it was just how I am now. I also rarely do like my vast treatments and stuff, but I still have to take all of my digestive enzymes and stuff like that because it's not Trikafta hasn't necessarily like taken that part away. But for as far as lung function, it has like greatly improved. So it's very exciting.
When my daughters were born and we had 2 kids with CF, I thought it was unusual and then found out, oh no, usually it's multiple siblings have CF, but you have 5 siblings and you're the only one with CF. So that's
Correct.
kind of crazy. What did your parents think?
Well, I'm the second oldest. So, when they first found out I had CF, they really had no clue what it was at all. So, they were kind of shocked. And then obviously they dug in, did some research. And then after they had me, their first reaction was like, okay, I think like we got to stop having kids now. Like, we don't want multiple people to have CF. But honestly, they just trusted the Lord and prayed about it. And they decided to move on and ended up having 4 more kids. That's kinda how
Wow.
that went.
So please tell everyone how you were diagnosed. How did they figure it out? What was happening?
Yep. So when I was first born, I was actually misdiagnosed. I ended up not getting diagnosed till I was 2 years old. So during that 2-year span, it was really a tough time because I obviously was not behaving like a normal child. I was losing a lot of weight. I wasn't pooping. I wasn't keeping food down. So my parents had to try a bunch of different things to try and help me keep weight. And they thought I had like a food allergy at first, and the doctors weren't really sure what was happening. But I just kept going downhill. And then at one appointment we had, a doctor finally stepped up and said, like, I wonder if he has CF, like, let's test him for it. And I got the sweat test and ended up having CF.
That's so great that someone noticed it when you were still pretty young.
For
Um,
sure.
and remind me how old you are.
I'm 20 years old.
So is this your 2nd year in college?
Um, I just had my first year. I'm going to be a sophomore at Taylor.
Awesome. Wonderful. If you want to talk about mental health, um, do you have a routine for that, or are you feeling good and confident? I'm just wondering how everyone's doing in college
Yeah,
with this. Because on
for
top
sure.
of all the responsibilities, you're now responsible for all your meds and taking care of yourself.
Sure. Sure. Um, Honestly, I've been doing really well with it. So I haven't had a ton of issues. I think my My support group with my family, my friends have been great. So if there ever is a time like that, I can lean on them. But overall, I don't know if anything comes to mind. It's been really solid.
That's fantastic to hear. And please tell us what you're majoring in and what your plans are.
Yes, so I'm majoring in finance. And I want to add a minor, but I'm not 100% sure what I want to add yet. I'm thinking of a psychology minor because I would love to do kind of financial planning in the future.
Like, what's your CF journey? Has it been mostly healthy all your life since diagnosis?
Obviously, I said I was misdiagnosed. So at 2, they found out I had CF. And once I started getting on some of their treatment plans, I was doing really well. I was really healthy for a majority of my young life. And then there was kind of a moment when I was, I can't remember the exact age, but I think I was 13. We were helping some neighbors move some mulch, and I kind of breathed in some of the stuff from the mulch. And like that night, I went into respiratory distress and had to go to the hospital, couldn't breathe. So that moment right there kind of spiraled for the next couple of years where I was really struggling with my health. I was going to the hospital for those 2 week stays, maybe like 4 or 5 times a year. I couldn't get healthy. I wasn't able to do the stuff I love. That was really hard. But then I was able to kind of get into a solid place where I wasn't going as often. And then I first took Syndico. I think that was what the first drug was called. And then I was on that for a little bit. And then when Trikafta came out, I went on that cat, completely changed my life. Since starting Trikafta, how many years ago that was, I haven't been to the hospital since. So I kind of had a rough moment in that middle stretch right there, but these past few years have been amazing. I've been so healthy, able to enjoy my high school athletics and all my friends. So it's been really great.
If you choose to answer, how has your mental health been? Thankfully, people are talking about it more, but I mean, I go to therapy even as a caregiver of people who are adults and have CF, so I just wonder, how are you all doing okay?
I'd say overall I'm doing pretty good. I have a good support system with my family. I did used to do therapy like a year ago, but I haven't been doing it recently because stuff got a bit busy for me in all honesty. But I'd say my mental health's been doing pretty good. My mom especially, she's been a very big part of my support group. She's always taken care of me, advocated for me, whenever everything was sort of good, like, especially when I was younger and no one knew what was going on with me. She was, very adamant on making sure we figured out, like, what I needed, getting me the medicine I needed to feel better. So, she's been very helpful with me. My brothers too, they've been very good, helping me. I've been doing, like, weightlifting and stuff to make sure my, mental health stays strong and, like, gain muscle and everything, so I'm all healthy and everything. My brothers especially have been helping me with that because 'cause they've also been doing weightlifting. So they gave me, like, they helped me get, like, a routine, like, when I could like, my limits and everything. I think that they've been a really good, helpful support group. We go on, like, hikes and other stuff to make sure we keep healthy. And yeah, I'd say my mental health's been doing pretty good. I'm very excited for college, and, I'd say it's been doing pretty good so far.
That's fantastic to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And, Isabella?
Um, I will say senior year was very stressful, for me personally. But I feel like now that I know where I'm going and I feel very secure in the track path that I've chosen, I feel very calm. I have never felt so just relaxed and sure of my path in my life as I have felt the past couple weeks. So I think I'm just reaching a new level of zen. I feel incredibly blessed. I feel just very excited for everything that's gonna come next.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. And Serena?
As you said, people are talking about it more, and it's kind of come out a lot with uh, Trikafta and Aleptrek that one of its major side effects are mental health issues. And I did not escape that, to say the least. I think there's a very clear difference. Looking back on it now, at the time, had no idea. But looking back on it, the second that I started Trikafta in the 7th grade, there was a complete switch with my mental health. And it was really, really difficult to navigate. I think after, what, 10 years later or something like that, I've finally gotten down into a groove of some sorts. But yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons that I switched from Trikafta to Aleptrek, was just to hope that some of the mental health side effects would be even slightly relieved. I don't think that it has. I think we're still working on that. I think that's another reason, though, why it is so important that we cannot stop at modulators like these. They are not a cure. And for a lot of people that I have talked with throughout the community, the mental health side effects completely outweigh any physical impact, positive impact that it has to where they're coming off of it completely. I'm not quite there yet. I still think that I would much rather have my physical health, but it's definitely been a challenge. It's not easy to navigate, but it is what it is. So, yeah.
I really appreciate you being so honest, because I know that there are so many people who can relate to what you're saying. If it's not their mental health per se, it's brain fog or something like that that they're experiencing. And there's a lot in the pipeline, a lot of different things, and companies are improving. So it's really important to talk about. And thank you again for mentioning that. Like I said, so many people will be able to relate to you. And is there anything you wanted to end on? Something I didn't ask you that you wanted to say, but either way, I'm so glad that we're getting to know a small piece of you.
Can I talk about maybe a little bit like the pros and cons of CF?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, because I want to touch on this a little bit. And I think
Sure.
this applies to other people with chronic illnesses. I would say, like, if someone were to ask me, like, if you could go back to live your life, like, would you choose to live with CF now that you've experienced 20 years of having it? And honestly, reflecting on my life, I would say that if I could go back and choose if I had CF or not, I would choose to have CF. Because I think the impact that I can have on people with this disease outweighs the impact I would have without this disease. I am able to encourage and motivate people with other chronic illnesses or hardships because I was able to live through those and experience those. So I think people with that perspective shift really changes how they live. Like, they're like, I'm taking care of my body because I want to show other people that they can do this, that they can accomplish this. So I think that's one of the really cool things of living with CF. And I think other people with CF can agree with this. I would say the hard part of living with CF is just the constant reminder to take your meds and your medication. Like, take your different pills and keep your treatment going. I know there's multiple times when I'm doing my vest and my Pulmazine where I'm like, gosh, I want to go outside or hang out with my brothers, but I got to take 20, 30 minutes to sit down and really focus on myself and getting healthy. So I think just staying on top of that and being diligent with doing that is really important. And then, like I said before, like, maybe to create a checklist for your medication to make sure you don't miss a day. Just being diligent with that. So that's the encouragement I would have.
That is great advice. And I think maybe finance, public speaking, you should do,
Yeah.
because you're really good at it and very insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you really should do some talking. I mean, we'll have you at our gala. You're not that far from us, I don't think.
Please do. I would love to help.
Yeah. So, well, it was wonderful to have you on the podcast,
Thank you
and
so much.
thank you so much for sharing some of your personal feelings and great advice that you have for other people going to college. Thank you, Ben.
For sure. Yes, thank you for having me on today.
Jayla, how would you like to end your portion? And then we'll go to Isabella and Serena.
One thing that I did want to say is like regarding my brothers, they got like diagnosed like when they were adults, like way like super long after me. We thought that I was the only one with cystic fibrosis in my family for so long, until my brother who plays he used to play football. He kept passing out at every game because of salt depletion, and they had to drive him to the hospital. And so like every time that happened, nothing really like got discovered until like later. And then they're like, oh wait, they might have cystic fibrosis because you have cystic fibrosis. I'm like, why was this not the first thought that went to your head after I don't know how none
none of the doctors thought about it, to be honest.
Right.
So that's just something that was like on my mind a bit.
Yeah, and that's important to mention that I know other people. I've talked to a CF mom who is a woman of color, and her older child was diagnosed with CF, and the doctor still did not believe her that her other child had CF and was symptomatic, just like her older son. And this doctor actually said to her, "Well, people of color don't have CF," and she's like, "Yes, they do, and my older child is diagnosed." So we're still deep in fixing that. So as a parent, as a sibling, trust your gut, trust yourself, fight for it, switch doctors, find someone who believes you. Isabella, what are your last thoughts here?
I would say if you have CF, just stay in tune with yourself. Trust your gut, do things that make you happy, that make you feel good. Even if it's untraditional, like I'm a woman wrestler, it's not very traditional where I am, and it's not really a thing in my county yet, but it's going to be, and I'm very excited about it and stuff like that. Just find something that feels good to you and trust your gut.
I love that. You're a leader, and I love that. I mean, you're all leaders, but I love that you're being outspoken and talking about it. So thank you. And Serena, what about you?
I think just a point that I kind of touched on earlier, it's just we're not done. For people who cannot take the modulators or cannot withstand them, um, our fight is not done until all people with CF have some type of cure and treatment. And I'm just gonna really keep pushing and advocating until we see that day.
I just am so impressed with all three of you. I mean, you really are going to change the world. You're so insightful. You have so much wisdom in your young selves. Like, keep going. I am so excited and honored that you had time to talk about all of this on our podcast. So thank you so much. And wow, we picked some really good scholarship winners. And then don't forget, you can reapply and you can get a second scholarship. So thank you again. You're all terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Loving us.
And before we wrap it up, John, our fabulous producer, please tell everyone where to buy our fabulous merchandise, t-shirts, jewelry, and bandanas for your pets.
Well, Laura, you can just go to the bonnellfoundation.org/shop. That's the BONNELL foundation.org/shop. Or just hit the link in our show notes.
The original music in this podcast is performed by Kevin Allen,
It's not complicated.
who happens to have cystic fibrosis.
We all got our worries and fears. I know it's got you frustrated, but loving you is so alright.
This has been the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast. For more information and to learn more about the Bonnell Foundation, visit our website at thebonnellfoundation.org. That's the BONNELL foundation.org. This podcast was sponsored by Viatris. It was produced by Jag Podcast Productions. Follow our show for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now.